Unsolved, Episode 107, Zodiac Killer Case. My name is Flake Crawford. In this episode, we take a look at the Cheri Jo Bates murder and a possible suspect that also has a little bit of connection to the Zodiac killer with his "my name is," because both Flake Crawford, kind of rearranged, matches up with those symbols, and so does Crawford Casto. First, I want to say that this suspect I came up with, and it had nothing to do with this anagram with the name. This is something that I noticed after I came up with this name. So, first, if you look at the double A's, if you make those R's, and then if you look at the double N's, and you make those A's, and then in the anagram, if you look at the M's, the double M's, and you make those F's, then you replace the E with an L, the crosshairs with a K, the K with a C, the M with an F, the fishhook, I guess, or anchor, to a D, and then the eights, you call them crazy eights, and the 8 is an E, the 8 is a W, and the 8 is a O. Then magically, it forms Flake Crawford. Crawford Casto, and people called him Crawford with his first name, kind of fits also, but not as smoothly. The reason the anagram fits so well with his name is there's 3 pairs in the anagram. There's double A's, double M's, and double N's. And in Crawford Casto, there's 4 double letters. There's the C, the R, something, and the O's. And if you make the crazy eights, is what I call them, the circled eights, an O, and then put an extra letter in there, it scrambles out to be his name also. So how did I come up with this suspect, Flake Crawford Casto? Well, back when I was looking at the RHs, I thought maybe I should look at Cheri Jo Bates's neighbors. And I know in old phone books, they have this street cross section. And so the problem was the internet, looking at this phone book, you can only go to 1955. But that might have worked out to be a blessing. So Flake Casto is our suspect's father, and he married Janie Elizabeth Crawford in October of 1942 in Idaho. And Flake Casto was in the military, and he served during World War II. And then he joined the Air Force, and he retired from the Air Force. And Flake Crawford Casto's family moved around often. And so this is a photograph of him in Savannah, Georgia, in his sophomore year at Jenkins High School when they lived there in the early 1960s. Flake returned to Riverside and graduated from Ramona High School, class of 1965. And I believe that they returned back to Riverside in the summer of 1964 after Flake Castro's father retired from the United States Air Force. So now I want to explain a little motive or possibility of why he might stick out, besides having lived in Cheri Jo Bates' house prior to her living there. Cheri Jo Bates was very active in high school in her junior year, and she was on the varsity cheerleading squad. And Flake Crawford was on the varsity football team. And this is from the confession letter. It says, or maybe she will be the shapely, blue-eyed brunette that said no when I asked her for a date in high school. I then offered to help. She was then very willing to talk with me. But only one thing was on my mind, making her pay for the brush-offs that she had given me during the years prior. Well, he's 1 year older than her, and this murder took place a couple years after. Flake married young and had this son, and he was married for 2.5 years and divorced. Then shortly thereafter he was married again, and he moved to Sacramento, and that marriage lasted for about 10 years, and then he married again. And then Flake, and don't call him Snowflake, moved to Forest Hill in the Sierra Mountains, close to Lake Tahoe. Flake Crawford Casto died on May 25th, 2013, but his son Christopher lives on. Matter of fact, he was accused of arson for burning down his father's jewelry shop. Well, this ends this episode of Unsolved, and on the next episode, I might be returning to Peggy Hamlin, who lived in Vallejo and was a waitress at Terry's coffee shop. So I'll see you the next time.